Gita, chapter number 7, verse number 28. Yesham tu antgatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvand moh nirmuktah bhajante. Made the understanding which I draw from pap in this particular shloka. Let me be precise to mention is incinerated in its entirety within a human as a result of the good virtues one has accumulated, understood in the scripture as punya karma. Then the being is relinquished, bereft of the impact of attraction and repulsion, will, something we also term as steadfastness. One is steadfast by affording a special attention upon each and every specific term. I choose one word, one term as the foremost from this verse. Punya Karamanam. When the accumulation of the good table resolute will. What is this Punya Karamanam? What should be understood as a good deed, as a good virtue? Punya karma, punya karma are acts. Punya karma is an outcome. It's an act and an outcome which is able to purify the insight of a human. Anything which enables you purely understood as punya karma. What is punya karma? Generally understood with the parlance and realms of service, here in the spiritual context, it becomes slightly deeper and different as well. The punya karma is the procedure through which the inner taint has to be exterminated. What is that procedure? What are those inputs? What are those exercises that enable one remove the inner taint? The foremost is jnana. Associating oneself with the right knowledge, the knowledge of the scripture, enables one dilute the impact of inner taint, if not remove them in entirety. Through Sadgyan, the Gyan of the scriptures, one gathers certain luminosity inside. With its effulgence, one is able to bring each and every subject of life to its right perspective, to its right proportion. The second is dhyana. Through inner contemplation, one is able to synthesize and analyze one's own individuality. You're able to dissect your own individuality, see through what am I, what all are my holdings, what are my constraints. You understand more and more about yourself. In other terms, you acquire a magnifying glass to notice even the interior eyes, go and see yourself with a magnifying glass. And that facilitates the removal of taints to a deeper end. Whatever was not possible by mere understood in the form of abstention, austerity, not exactly asceticism, because asceticism is also got many more attributes. Here, I would confine to abstinence and austerity. Various forms of austerity that create an abstention within a human are able to generate so much of heat within that whatever the residual or the impact of a hard propensity that acts as an inner taint, an inner holding, gets incinerated therein. It's like moving yourself into the effulgence of the sun, where no taint can ever remain, to act as an engine, a seamless furthering into the spiritual have gathered, whatever you have been able to earn, what your spiritual practice to maintain it, satsanga. Associate yourself with such opportunities every now and unhindered his or her life. So the punya karma acquires a different meaning when it comes to the persuasion of spiritual pursuit. What is papa karma? Which has to be exterminated in entirety. They're all holdings. All holdings, not necessarily to be understood as sin. I differentiate between sin and taint because there is no appropriate word which I can find as a term. So thereby I choose taint. The inner taints are hard propensities developed in several past lives that disallow a human to acquire an inner equanimity, equipoise, to rest the inner turbulation and contemplate and stay with one practice to disallow them, to exterminate removal of the inner taint, that is the ant of the papa. It is relinquished now. Once a human is able to relinquish oneself from all inner holding, is able to instill an inner stillness, compose equanimity, then is able to discern, distinguish, and discriminate, and rightly response, react, not react, response towards different situations, subject, and people in life. Thereafter, attraction or repulsion, the swing impact that raises a delusive veil in a human comes to a rest. The delusive veil, which is an impact of the swing of the attraction and repulsion, then ceases to act, ceases to cast its veil upon the understanding of a human. The conduct is understood to be a bhajan. What is a bhajan? Not merely singing the glory of the Lord in the form of a prayer, but has to acquire a deeper meaning. Every single term deploys a superficial one. Every word has a peripheral understanding, and every single term has an esoteric understanding. To do dispense to justice, to do justice to each and every term of the scripture, we have to associate ourselves to its esoteric understanding. Like punya karma here means all those exercises that enable you purify your insight. Removal of taint means to exterminate all inner holdings that disallow you to gather inner equipoise. Removal of taint, accumulation of punya karma enables you rise above the sway and the swing of the attraction and repulsion, and thereafter the delusive veil cast by that. And then you automatically start living into in the form of a bhajan. You live as a bhajan. Not only that you sing a bhajan, you live as a bhajan according to the understanding drawn from the Satyameva Jayate. It finds a prominence place even as a symbol, as a vital symbol in the identity of our own state. Satyam eva Jayate means When you acquire an inner stillness, bereft of the veil of the delusion, you start citing every situation. You start understanding every person. You start associating with every subject with a new perspective. There is a paradigm inner shift that you experience. Nothing outside shall ever change. The change shall transpire at your own deeper ends, and you start sighting everything differently. It's a different perspective towards same people whom you interacted or whom you have been interacting since a long passage of time. You start looking towards them, their compulsions, their restraints, their habituation in a very different manner. You start giving and assigning a proportion of your time, attention, and energy to subjects in a different manner. Certain subject become the most, they fall in the most rare, lower rung of your priority, and certain subject they rise in the upper rung of your priority. Certain situations are then responded in a very different manner. What does it mean? You are living a bhajan because the life, the way of your response system. Satyameva Jayate does not mean that you shall utter truth and nothing else but truth. Truth in an outer parlance, in a common parlance, could be very subjective. Different people, for different people, in different situations, and in different times, truth could be different. The same truth cannot be applied. The same scale to every fact cannot be applied at all times to all people in all situations. No, it has to differ. You contemplate more upon it, you will gather the depths of my words, not otherwise. Whereas in the spiritual parlance, the same truth is very different. The same understanding drawn from the Satyam Eva Jayate, from the spiritual parlance, means that you gather the most righteous, the most appropriate understanding from every situation, subject, or a person. So these two things has to be very judiciously distinguished and discerned. The understanding of Satya in a common parlance and the understanding has become the Satya, Satyam eva jayate, does not have to make any effort to live one's own inner resolution. Seamlessly, effortlessly, one starts breathing in, breathing out. It becomes one's own existence. One's objective settles at the existential dimension of a human. You become it. You don't have to make an effort. Atmano mokshartha jagat hitacha. What should I do for that? It's at the initial stage that you have to prioritize certain things. Then you take a resolve. Then you try to live it for some span of time. Then you fail. Again you rise. Again you fail. This goes on. But once the accumulation of punya karma has arisen, the inner taint has dissipated, your way of life is bhajan, then you don't need to make any effort to live your objective of life. Then you are the objective. You become personified as the objective, you yourself. And that is what has been termed here as Drid Vrate. You have to listen to the same lecture at least twice because two different aspects to the same term has been in the spiritual parlance. The same goes for bhajan, and the same goes for the punya karma, and the same goes for your punya karma arise. What are those? Association with the jnana, Interiorization through to come in the next classroom upon verse number 29 of the chapter number 7. Till then, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om.